Welcome dear students for the session 32 of System Software, BCA 3rd semester affiliated to Kuvempu University. So today's session we are going to learn the algorithm and flowchart for the processing of macro definition for the PAS2. In the previous session we have discussed about the databases and the specification of data phase format along with the PAS1 algorithm and flowchart. So learning objective of this session number 32 is to understand the algorithm and flowchart for processing of macro definition for the PAS2. So the session outcome is the student will be able to understand the PAS2 algorithm and flowchart for processing the macro definitions. So now, dear students, let's start with the algorithm and flowchart for the macro calls and the expansion. So in the previous class, we have learned how the algorithm and flowchart is being designed for the PAS1. So now we'll see the PAS2 macro call and expansion. So you already know algorithm represents a step-by-step process. So totally here we have 5 main steps there. In the step number 1, we are going to read the next source code which is being copied from the PAS1. If you remember in the last flowchart for the PAS1, we have kept for the reading of the next source code which will be used by the PAS2. So it is related to that particular thing. In the second step, we are going to search for MNT for match with the operation code. That is, we are going to match for the names. In the step number 3, if the macro name found, then that is the macro which we are searching. For example, it may be INCR or it may be some other macros what we have created. If it is found, then we need to perform the sub 6 steps there. So those are being represented with A to F there. In the 3.A, that is, we are going to assign the MDT to the MDTP index from MNT entry. So once it is done, we are now going to set up the ALA. So in the step number C, we are going to increment our MDTP value to fetch the next value. In the step number D, we are going to get the line from our MDT, that is data table. In the step number E, we are going to substitute the arguments from the macro call. And finally, in the step number F, we are going to check whether we have encountered the end of the macro, which has been represented by the opcode, that is MEND. And if we are going to encounter the MEND, we are going to the step number 1 again, and we are doing the process again. Else, we are going directly to the step number 3C. So once these all have been done, then the next step is to go for the step number 4 there. That is, if the macro name is not found, we are directly moving from our step number 3 to 4 and we are writing into the expanded source code file. And at the last step is the step number 5. We are checking if end, then supply the expanded source file to the assembler processing. Else you again go back to your step number 1 and you perform the action again. So this is the algorithm for PAS2 macro call and expansion. So with the understanding of the algorithm, let us have a diagrammatical representation of algorithm in the form of a flowchart. So this diagram, it represents the flowchart for the PAS2 of processing macro calls and expansion. What the steps we have defined in 1 to 5 in our PAS2 algorithm, the same steps are been represented graphically in this particular slide. First, you are going to get the data from your PAS2. Then, as in the step number 1, you are going to read the next source code which has been copied with the PAS1. We are going to search MNT, that is the name for the match with the operation code. We are checking if the macro name code is found. If it is found, we are entering into the S part of our diagram and we are assigning the MDT index to MDTP from your MNT entry. Next, you are setting up the ALA, that is your argument list array, and you are going to increment your MDTP by an incremental value of 1. Next, you are going to get the line from your MDT. So substitute the arguments from the macro call and check we have encountered the end of your macro, that is MEND. If it is true, you again go back to your step number 1. Else you directly write the expanded source code and directly enter into your 3C, that is your increment your MDTC. So now this will be done recursively. So if the macro name found is not found, then you will go for the no option. There you are going to write into expanded source code file and you are going to check for END source code. If it is yes, then you will be supply the expanded source file to the assembly processing. If it is no, you are again going back to the step number 1. This is how the flowchart for the step 2 related to processing macro calls and the expansion is been done. So dear students, now you have learnt everything about the pass 1 and the pass 2 algorithm and flowchart related to your macros there. So next have few general MCQs which are related to the instruction format of R&R. The instruction format of RRR has a length of 2 bytes and the SS instruction format is been used which is been using the 3 half words. And the third question is in which of the following instruction format the instruction is 1/2 a word, and the answer is RR. Load multiple instruction is present in the following instruction format, and the answer is RS. And finally the SS instruction format is having a length of 2 bytes. Session summary. The student can be able to understand the algorithm and flowchart for the processing of macro definition of pass 2. So dear students, for further references you can refer the book System Programming authored by John Donovan.